Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Riffhard podcast. My guest today is Yannick Lehmann from the band Paleface Swiss. They have a new album called Cursed coming out January 2025. Let's get into it. All right, Yannick, welcome to the Riffhard podcast.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. I feel like we have defeated the forces of the universe to make this podcast happen.
You want to tell the story?
Yeah, well, this is our third attempt. Attempt number one was a podcast I was doing earlier in the day, went super late. Attempt number two, there was some big ass winter windstorm here in Wisconsin that knocked down a bunch of power lines and took out the internet. And then today, attempt number three, on my way to the studio, it popped a flat. And luckily,
unbelievable.
Yeah, I know. Luckily, I left early enough. So I ended up taking an Uber here, and I left the car in a parking lot, and I'll deal with it later. So,
oh my God.
So, but we're stronger than that, stronger than all.
That's right.
You know, when hearing your music, I feel like the thing that sticks out to me the most are that the rhythms are sick. Super sick.
Thanks,
and I
man.
can tell that you
Appreciate
spend the most time on that. So out of curiosity, do you work at all on your picking hand? Like, do you sit there and like do like down picking exercises and like gallop exercises and like all that stuff? Or
Not really.
amazing.
I just like before shows, I just like sit down and warm me up with riffs and like just like with like a click and try to down pick with the click. But that's simply all I do. And yeah.
For how long?
I just sit there and riff like for about like 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That's everything.
Man, you know what I've noticed with down picking is that if, first of all, if I don't warm up, it's just not happening. It's like, it hurts. It hurts. And also like, I can't go nearly as fast. And then also if I don't work on it very often, it goes.
No, me neither.
It goes fast.
Me neither. Yeah. I mean, I mostly just go with the flow, actually. Also with when I write music, I just like try to like with the rhythm stuff and down picking stuff or like galloping things. I just try to build in those kind of parts in the riff, and that's basically all I do. But I never practice any like exercises or something.
But I mean, through the warm-ups and through actually having it in your songs, you're doing it a lot.
Oh yeah, definitely. So, I mean, yeah.
You know, I guess it's like when people talk about exercise and they talk about, you know, do the exercise that you enjoy, and some people would enjoy to just play a sport or do something where they're moving, but it's not necessarily going to the gym and getting on a treadmill for X amount of time and then lifting weights for X amount of time. It could be just something where you're moving a lot for 45 minutes. And so like, I know in your music, like you're down picking all over the place. So that is, you know, keeping up with that is practice. 'Cause like you can't fake that, at least live. You cannot fake that.
No.
Stamina wise, does it ever tax your stamina? Like, do you ever find yourself starting to get tired?
On live shows?
Yeah.
Or not really, to be honest. Not really.
That's amazing.
The whole set kind of like warms me up all the time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the whole set is kind of my warm up, and then when the parts are coming which are like kind of heavy to play with down picking or like galloping things, I'm already warmed up because I played like 3 songs before because I already played 3 songs, you know what I mean?
Plus the 15 minutes before that.
Yes, right. That's right.
I definitely practice with a click and do all that stuff, and I just noticed that if I'm not warmed up, it like my top speed is like 20 or 30 BPM lower. And I've noticed, I'm curious about you, that I don't really get fully warmed up like fully warmed up for like 30 minutes. So I guess in your case it would be like 15 minutes plus like 3 songs.
Yeah.
So it's somewhere, I always consider it like the way that it feels once you're like 3 or 4 songs into a live set, is when I feel truly warmed up. And that usually involves like 20-15 minutes ahead of time, and then 3 or 4 songs where you get your whole body physically warmed up. But I've noticed that at home, even if I warm up for 15 minutes, it's still not quite the same. Like I have to sit there for like 30 minutes and like really warm up, and then it's
Oh, yeah.
great.
I think I know what you mean, because when I'm practicing at home, I also have to like warm up for for way longer than I have to than live, because I don't know, maybe live it's just with the is it called adrenaline?
Yes.
Like, yeah. I think that's the difference between the live warm up and the practice at home warm up.
The adrenaline, but then also you're physically moving your body. So I
Oh yeah.
think,
We do that a lot actually. Like we do like exercising and stretches before the show. Like maybe it's like because my whole body is getting into a movement, into like a warm up, and then I sit down and practice. So I'm already like kind of mentally I'm warmed up, and my whole body is warmed up as well, because we did like exercises and stretches. Then I sit down and pick to or yeah, pick to a click. You know what I mean?
so you're already got like an elevated heart rate, and you're
Yeah, kind
already
of. I
feeling
think
pretty good.
that's the thing. That's the thing. Yeah.
That makes sense.
And
The
mentally I try to be already on stage.
How so?
Like I try to warm up my mentality to, and always, how do I say that? I try to feel like I am on
Mhm.
stage right now, like in that moment.
So that, yeah, I guess that makes sense, because sometimes if you're not mentally ready on stage, the first song can be kind of shocking.
Oh yeah, that's
S-
true.
Yeah, it can be a little jarring. That makes sense. Like, what about playing while moving around? Like, do you find that it makes it harder?
I feel yes, but if I like if we play, or if I play the live set for a good amount of times, it gets better and better, because like my stamina gets better, and I basically I know when I have to walk and when I have to stand on my side, and basically and for example scream into the microphone. So my body knows um where I have to be on stage at which part at how do I say that, at that part of the song. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I guess through doing it enough times, it all just becomes
Yes.
kind of like one
Yes.
motion.
Yes. Exactly. So my body knows where which riff is coming when I have to walk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Playing while moving around, I think, is it's a lot harder than people realize
Oh yeah.
if they've never
Definitely.
tried to do it.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
you're like instantly worse. Instantly. Like I think you actually need to get good at playing while standing up and playing while moving around.
Oh yeah.
It's not the same thing at all.
Yeah, I always practice when I'm at home. I always practice in a standing position when I'm at home, like with a strap with the guitar at my on, how do I say that? Like on my that on this position where my dick is,
Yeah,
basically. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Dick
Like
height.
how I play live, like
Yeah.
this.
That's good,
Sorry.
because that's actually harder to play.
Yes.
Like that's not how you play when sitting down. And I feel like sitting down position is almost like a cheat code compared to
Oh
playing
yeah.
your guitar low.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Though I have noticed that down picking, the only thing I find easier while standing up is down picking,
Okay.
because I could put more shoulder into it. It's like can use more. It's
Okay. Makes
which
sense.
is something that, interestingly enough, uh, I've been trying my hardest to not engage other muscles while down picking and trying to relax more, like with everything, just trying to relax more and not like tense my shoulders and all that. But then one of the best guitar players I know told me that while down picking, try standing up, try to engage a little bit more shoulder, just a little, not crazy, not like you're totally tensing up, but that you'll get a lot more power, and it'll take up some of the strain. And so I've tried that, and he was right.
Interesting. So I have to try that as well.
Yeah, I didn't expect it because, constantly trying to not use my shoulders while picking.
Okay. Yeah, I get that.
But there's something about, like having to reach down like that where it helps, I guess.
Yes, I get that. So I have to try. I actually have to to focus on that, to be honest.
All right. Before we get back to this episode, I want to take a minute to talk about Riffhard, riffhard.com, not the Riffhard podcast, because this podcast is actually tied to our online school, Riffhard. And if you're new here, it's the world's best online school for modern metal guitarists. We've got hundreds of lessons from guitar players such as Javier Reyes, Jason Richardson, Wes Hawk, Dan Sugarman, Miles Dimitri Baker. Man, I could just keep on going on. Aaron Marshall from Intervals, Mike Stringer of Spirit Box. I'm reading now because I don't want to leave anybody off. Dean Lamb of Arcspire. It just goes on and on. It's like all the best of the best. And you get tons more than just lessons with them. You get instant access when you join, but there's also all kinds of challenges. Like once a month, we do something like 10-day down picking challenge or a 10-day tremolo picking challenge or a 10-day alternate picking challenge where we really guide you through the lessons and make sure that everybody is getting better. We're not just giving you these videos and sending you out into the wilderness to fend for yourself. We are right there with you. We also do 6 songwriting challenges. Like we have a monthly one called King of the Riff, where we give you a brief, like write a Spartan war anthem or write a technical death metal song with like some criteria. And there's prizes that include guitars and cables and all kinds of cool gear. And we also have private Facebook and Discord communities of like mind and supportive people, no assholes. That's really, really important to include. Now, with Riffhard, you also get a subscription to Nail the Mix. They live under the same site. So in Nail the Mix, you get to learn how to mix metal. You also get access to Buster Otoholm's Beginner's Guide to Recording Metal. So if you're just playing guitar and trying to record yourself, you have a band and you want to make demos for your band members, or you want to make your own demos, but you just can't get them to sound anything but garbage, or you just can't get past the starting gate, it's too complicated, we've got you covered. Buster Otoholm will show you how to do it. And also, if you want to take it further and actually learn how to mix, there's no place better than Nail the Mix over at URM Academy, and that's all included with Riffhard subscription. All right, so if that sounds interesting, you want to check it out, go to riffhard.com. I'll see you there, and let's get back into this episode. Do you mostly play from wrist?
Yeah, mostly, yeah. If I like down pick, that's all the wrist, yes.
Was there ever a point in time, I guess when you were first learning, where you were using more like forearm and bicep and stuff?
Yes, like when I started, I mostly used the forearm, especially on down picking riffs. But then I don't know who, but someone told me like I have to do it like with just with this movement, with just moving your wrist and your hand, and you shouldn't use like your full arm, your forearm.
Mm-hmm.
And that's I focused on that when I played, and I kind of got into it, and then it came automatically.
You know what I noticed the first time I started doing that? Because like for years I was like tensing my forearms and just like trying to just power through it. And then of course there'd be sections of songs that are just too much down picking for too long, too fast, and you just can't without like fucking up your forearm or it hurts, or I always get anxiety before those parts or whatever. So, I learned about using wrists, but what I realized when I first started trying with the wrist was I had to play way lighter, and so it didn't sound as cool. It didn't sound as good because I'm not playing as hard, and so I had to get my mind around the fact that at first it's going to be a lot lighter, and you have to use your wrists in your hand only, and accept that it's going to sound just not as cool. But then once you get used to it, you'll get stronger and more confident with it, and then it'll end up sounding better because you'll
Yes,
play looser
makes
anyhow.
totally sense to me. Yes.
You experience that too?
Yeah, yeah. If you say it like this, yeah, totally.
It's weird because uh, down picking is one of those things where it does make a difference how hard you're playing. Like it sounds better when you play harder.
That's
So
right.
you have to make sure to not actually fuck yourself up while doing it.
Yeah, that's right.
How do you hold your pick? Like what pick position do you use?
How should I describe that?
I
I
don't
can
know.
show it to you in the
Just hold it
camera.
up.
It's like this.
Okay, so you're using like
So
the gun grip.
yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
And those fingers are completely loose, so it's like completely like relaxed.
So like
And
open hand and yeah, with like the trigger grip basically.
yeah, kind of.
Wes calls it that where it's the way, like if you're shooting a gun, that's
Gun grip. That's
yeah,
very cool.
it's
I love
very
that.
very American. Yeah, you would be holding it like that,
That's very cool.
except you wouldn't have your other fingers loose if you were holding a gun, but still like gun grip on the pick. I know some people who do like three fingers,
Okay,
like
let me see.
this,
Okay,
which I don't understand it.
sounds interesting. I've never tried that.
Like, well, I've known lots of people who do that, and then they have to completely change how they pick because it sucks. But then there's probably somebody listening who does the three finger grip who is incredible. But
What makes the difference in picking with three fingers? Do you get like a harder forehand or like a harder pick itself? You know what I mean?
I think they probably just started doing it without
Okay.
thinking when they were
All right.
younger. Like that's just no, like they didn't learn proper pick technique, so they just learned a bad pick technique and just
And
just got good because they're talented and dedicated, but got good with like a bad technique.
okay.
And then most of the time, the dudes I've known who have done that, who have changed their technique to like the way you hold it or whatever, uh, it's because they reached basically a ceiling in their ability to like they couldn't get better. Like they just were not getting better, and so they went and changed everything. And Misha from Periphery is one of those. Like I think
Hmm.
he was doing that pick grip, and he completely changed the way he picks,
Hmm.
like relearned it, and then got way better. But
It's crazy.
but I've heard that it's a shitty process because
Okay.
you you kind of play like a beginner for a little while.
All right. All right. What are your thoughts on the pick technique from Tony Abassi? You know this guy?
Tobin, yeah, it's wild.
How he does he hold his pick? It's like or he picks like I'm not even sure how,
I'm
but
not.
he does like a very very special technique.
So we've had Javier on Riffhard, and
That's
so
the other guitarist
that's
or
the
what?
other guitar player,
Oh, right.
and
Okay.
so I'm not. I don't think they don't play exactly the same, but they play the same techniques in the songs.
Yeah.
So that's the closest I've come to like understanding what they do, and they
Okay.
do this thing. So I'm not sure how Tosin holds it, but I know what they're doing, and they do this thing called selective picking. Also they do the thumb thing, but
Oh yes, yes.
it's a way of picking where uh, you're picking less you're picking less, but you're doing more. It's hard to explain.
Okay.
It's advanced, but like they're using, it's like this rhythmic interplay between both hands to where they're picking the exact right notes you need to pick, and then hammering and pulling off a lot of the rest. But they do it in a way to where it sounds insane. Like it's not just like economy picking or anything like that. It's very much its own thing. Yeah, Javier showed me how to do it, and I didn't get it. Like I'd have to sit there and actually work with it.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's wild. You know, it's cool though. It's cool to see people do something new on a guitar.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, it's very interesting.
Tim Henson's another one that kind of does some wild stuff that,
Oh yeah, yeah. Saw this guy.
though his stuff, like actually his stuff, I'm not going to say it's less wild, but I've seen a lot of those techniques in like flamenco guitar. So I think what Tim,
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
think what Tim Henson's
definitely.
doing is he takes flamenco techniques, among other things. He does lots of stuff. I mean, he's incredible, but a lot of the stuff that freaks people out is when he uses flamenco techniques on an electric guitar in
Mhm.
the context of polyphia.
Oh yeah,
It sounds
yeah.
crazy.
He's a crazy guy.
Yeah, totally. So let's talk about songwriting.
All right.
Um, how does it work for you? Is it and your band? Is it something where you guys get in a room, or you come in with songs, or like how does that typically happen?
So I collect my riffs for myself. Basically, I just sit down when I have like have free time and just try to write like parts of songs or just riffs. And I always program some simple drums to it, so I get like a little bit of a
A
I
vibe?
get like yeah the vibe. So the riff actually gets like more full. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It does not sound like just a riff. So I need always the drums. So I program them real quick, and then I go to my home studio and my father's basement, and then we meet up. Just Sally and I. Sally is our vocalist, and we do basically all the demos and all the songs, just like the structures and stuff. And then if we have to write an album or basically it was just like for the album which comes out on January 3rd. It's called Cursed. We wrote that like a year ago in a studio on the Canary Islands in Spain, and we went there with our drummer Sally, our vocalist, me, and our tour manager Ron, which is the like which is the owner of the studio. And then we wrote the album with the with our demos with my riffs I collected over the past few months. That's basically how we do it, and we try to um we write the songs, and we just try to like re-listen it a few times, and then if we think it's good for us, we leave it like this. So the album is very very raw. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So we don't overthink too much about the songs.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's how we do it. I
So
collect riffs, and yeah, sorry,
no,
I'm
no,
sorry.
go on. You collect riffs, and
Yeah,
I cut you
I
off.
basically I was just about to say the same things again. I collect riffs. We write the demos in our home studio. Then we go to to a real studio where we just write the songs in its full version, and then we leave it like this.
So I want to talk about the riff collection process.
Oh yeah.
So, i- is there, like a ratio of riffs that you keep versus don't keep, or is it like a thing? I've had some people say when they're in that process that they use everything they write because in the moment that they're writing, if something's not good, they just won't work on it. So they only work on the stuff that they think is good enough, and so then they end up using a lot of their stuff. Where I know a lot of other people who write a lot of stuff and then throw away like 70% of it and pick like the best 30%.
That's not how I do it. I just write whatever I feel is good, or where I feel fits for the new things, and then I show it to the boys basically, and we talk about it, and then if we take it or not, I don't care. I just if you're not taking the riff, I will like try to use it for a future album or for a future song.
Mm-hmm.
My riff folder has about like 50 riffs right now, which are not used, or you know what I mean?
From the previous album.
No, like in like the whole
Yeah,
sorry.
just right now.
The whole folder is like with about 50 riffs,
Mm-hmm.
and if nothing fits for that song we're working on, I write something. I write something new.
That makes sense. So basically, if you're writing a song, are you basically just picking riffs out of the folder, seeing what works?
Yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
if nothing fits, I just try to write something better, or something that fits more.
Okay, so here's what I really want to understand is, so you have your folder, and in the folder you have these riffs, and then these riffs you've programmed drums, and I'm guessing you played one or two guitars, and so it's like a you know, like a riff demo, and then you're kind of mixing and matching them to finding the ones that work together, making
Yes.
songs.
Yes.
If none of them work together, writing a new part.
Yes.
Maybe a part that you already have comes after the new part you wrote or whatever. Anyhow, how are you putting them together? That's what I'm curious about. Like, how are you, like the actual process of putting them next to each other and seeing if one riff goes into the next one? Like, how are you doing that?
This is a very good question.
Thanks.
Um, I can't even explain that. We just sit there and or in the writing process, and we just try to go with the flow, no pressure, no influences from the outside. We just try to be like me and our vocalist Sally, and we just try to vibe with each other. And if we feel something fits to the part we are working on right now, we just try it out. We leave it for overnight, and then we listen, and the next day we listen to it again. And if we feel like that's right, we just leave it.
But I'm wondering, are you taking like an MP3 and like putting it next to another MP3 and listening to them back to back, or are you listening to the, like, say you have riff A and riff B, right?
Yeah.
You want to see if riff A goes into riff B, but they're two separate MP3s or whatever, or two separate sessions. So do you have a new session where you import riff A and import riff B and then put them back to back? Or do you listen to them and then you make a new version of riff B?
Yeah, I think that we listen to it, and then we make a new version of riff B, which we think could fit, and if not, we just leave it, and
Got it.
riff B is riff B.
And maybe it'll work for something else.
Yeah, that's right. It goes back to the folder.
That makes sense. And do you, I guess, are in the folder, is it sessions from your DAW, or is it just like MP3s of?
It's sessions. We work with Reaper, you know, you heard it. And it's just like Reaper projects, back to back kind of. And I try to give the projects like good names, where I can remember which riff is which riff, because I'm giving like funny names to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's better than riff A, riff B, riff C.
Yes, that's right.
Because, yeah, but so do you import a Reaper? I know Reaper, but I don't know, like, I don't know how it works.
Okay.
I use Pro Tools.
You can just copy the riff from one project and paste it into another project. That's very cool.
And both of them can be open at the same time.
Yes.
That's
yes.
amazing.
Yes.
Fuck
That's
Pro Tools, man. Like, come on.
I never
guys.
worked with Pro Tools, so I'm out.
Pro Tools is both great and not great. So it's great for what it's not made for writing. People write with it, but it's not made for your scenario. And I only use it because I had to for a job I got once, and that's what they used, and so I learned it and
All right.
just used it. But it's great for like a recording studio, but not wonderful for writing because of stuff like this. Exactly,
Okay.
stuff like this. So I guess me asking you the question how you put these songs together is me coming from a Pro Tools background where
Okay. Yeah, I get it.
where there you can't do that. So you have to figure out ways to. It's like, do you import a session into another session? Okay, but then the Pro Tools the MIDI maps get all fucked up. So then it's just
Oh my God.
it's a fucking nightmare, man. So
Wow.
I've heard that Reaper, Cubase, also Logic, even Ableton are all way better for this sort of
Definitely.
thing.
Yeah, we wrote the album. No. I write my riffs or the demos with Reaper, but we wrote the whole album and recorded with Ableton. So our producers work with Ableton, and we as a band we work with Reaper. And
Oh wow, he recorded in Ableton. That's wild. That's wild just because you don't hear about it for this kind of music very often.
yeah, and it worked very good actually. I was
Yeah, it's
surprised.
a great program. But you hear about it more for like electronic music and
Yeah,
stuff.
that's right.
You don't hear about it for like metal and hardcore very often.
You want to know something funny?
Yes.
We wrote all our we wrote our first two EPs and our first two albums with FL Studios.
Fuck
That's
yeah.
that's the dubstep
Yeah.
program.
Fuck yeah.
It
Old
was a
school.
nightmare,
Man.
but it
Yeah.
was the only program we knew, and it somehow it works. It worked.
Back in the day, like that's the only thing, like either Fruity Loops or whatever, those were something called making waves also, were the only things that were affordable for people. Cause like there were no other DAWs at one point in time. Pro Tools was insanely expensive, like as expensive as a house. So
No.
yeah, man, it was like
Oh my.
tens of thousands of dollars because you had to buy all this hardware with it. So it was crazy. So yeah, so people used like Fruity Loops and these types of loop based programs to try to write. And you definitely you've definitely like grown some hair on your chest if you tried to use those to write heavy
That's
music. But it, like, I know lots of people who came up with it. It doesn't, though. I really don't hear about Ableton being used very much for bands, but I'm surprised not, because it really is a good program. Did he
it
mix it
is.
also?
Yes, mixing, mastering, everything on Ableton.
Beautiful. That's so cool. That's it's so cool just because it's so rare. Um, did you do you know it at all, or you know Reaper?
No, I'm just into Reaper. I even don't know about Ableton and stuff because when we wrote the album, our like tour manager Ron, which also wrote the album with us, and I already said that he's the owner of the studio. He was on the computer and like records everything, and yeah, he was like the guy on the computer basically.
He's a multi-talented guy. Tour manager, studio owner,
Yeah, that's
producer,
right.
songwriter.
No, he's just like he just produced the demos of the album, and our actual producer is Florent from Landmarks. You know that band?
No, should I?
Yeah, a very famous European or French hardcore band or metalcore band.
Well, I'll look. I'll learn. I will learn about them after this.
No worries, man. That's over. Everything's good.
So, I I'm curious about your writing rig at home. So with Reaper, what are you using for guitar tone?
Quad Cortex.
Fuck yeah. I've got one right here.
Very nice.
Do you
Mine
use it
is next
live?
to me. Yes, I use it for everything,
It is so good.
bro. I love it. I learn new things every writing session, and I'm so happy I got one.
So you record just basically straight out of it into Reaper.
Yeah, for demos, yes,
Yeah.
but I use like real amps and real caps for the album recording.
Hmm.
But if I write demos, I just go straight from the output from Quad Cortex into my interface, and my interface is connected with Reaper. That's it.
You know that the Quad Cortex is an interface?
I know, that's true.
I
I
haven't I
basically
haven't tried it yet, but I know that it is.
I haven't tried it as well, but I already also know it is one.
Apparently, it's a good interface too, and you can do lots of things with it. This is what I hear. I haven't used it, but I feel stupid for not having used it because apparently you can have multiple inputs and multiple outputs, and like it's a legitimate interface. Another thing I'm curious about with Neural, because I haven't actually tried this, is the plugins that now work with it. Like the X versions of the Neural DSP plugins apparently are compatible with the Quad Cortex now. But
Okay,
I haven't had a moment to try it.
me neither. That's actually the first time I hear about that.
Well, I think it's something they've been talking about for a long time because their plugins are great, and then people would get a Quad Cortex and none of the plugins, like you couldn't transfer presets
Oh, no.
between them.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
think
but
I know what you mean.
yeah, like you could be working like with the Nolly plugin and make this
Oh, yeah,
sick
yeah,
fucking
yeah.
tone and
That's
also
true.
own a Quad Cortex, but then i- incompatible, which was kind of annoying.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
And
so
now it is possible to work. Yes, yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
with their plugins that are called like X, so it's like Gojira X or
yes,
whatever. So
yes.
I haven't tried it, but
Yeah, me neither.
I'm going
But I
to.
heard it. Yes, I heard about that.
That's to me that's like the next evolution because I think those plugins are amazing.
They are definitely.
So why use a Quad Cortex for writing and not the plugins? I'm just curious. The reason I'm asking is just because it's one more step than just
Yeah, yeah.
plugging right in.
I get your question and your point, but I don't really know, to be honest. For me, like the Quad Cortex is easier to handle with because like with the touch screen,
Hmm.
I can try I can try things out way faster than go with the mouse
Got it.
on the or on a trackpad. For me, it's just way easier. But to be honest, I never really worked a lot with the plugins on. Well, I also I own the Gojira
Hmm.
art type, but I just work with it like for 5 to 10 times, and then I got the Quad Cortex, and I built my sound on or built my tone on the Quad Cortex, and from that point on, I just recorded with the Quad Cortex. To be honest,
And is that what you use live?
yeah, exactly.
Makes sense then. Use your live rig at
Yeah,
home.
why not?
It actually, part of me thinks like writing. I like to have like the least amount of steps between the guitar and what I'm recording, just so that there's less that can distract me or get in the way or break. Just
Mhm.
less cables, like just
Yeah.
less potential for bullshit. But however, I see the wisdom in the way you do it because if you're using the same rig live that you are at home writing and you're very comfortable with it, it's you're not having to learn a whole new thing for live. Like you don't have to rely on a tech to know
Mm,
if something went wrong. Like you're more of an expert and you can like handle your own shit.
yeah. That's right.
Though, I mean, there's really great techs out there, but nothing. I still think no matter how great a crew is, musicians that know how to use their own shit are better at. It's a better situation.
That's true.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it makes a lot more. It makes a lot of sense like that. Like use the same thing everywhere.
Yeah. And I think I'm the one who knows my rig the best actually. So I mean we don't have a guitar tech. We just have like a stage manager who like plays who presses play and stop on our live on our backing tracks,
Mm-hmm.
but he don't know shit about my like my tones and my like Cortex things. So I'm the one who has to manage everything when something is wrong. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's
So
always for me it's always learning by doing actually. And that's why I use like my quad cortex at home as I use it live.
that's smart. I should use it more at home because that's what I'm taking live. So I like, but I use plugins at home when I'm writing just because I'm like so used to the studio
Hmm. Hmm.
environment and I've gotten great tones with the plugins. But you're right. You're absolutely right. However, I will say this: the are you familiar at all with the Jens Bogren amp knob plugins from
Mm-mm.
Bogren Digital?
Not at all.
Do you know Jens? Or who he is?
Not really. Not really.
Great producer,
Okay.
great legendary metal producer. It's done like Dimmu Borgir and Opeth and Arch Enemy
Okay.
and Monomarth, like all the big like European
All
metal,
right.
extreme metal
I might
bands.
heard of him.
You've heard his work. Anyhow, he started a plug-in company called Bogren Digital, and they put out these amp sims called Amp Knob, and they're one knob amps, and literally one knob. And I thought that I was kind of skeptical because people have done one knob stuff in the past that's been garbage, but his are fantastic. They sound amazing. Like right, because I think for you're getting his ears on it, right? Like
Mhm.
like there's a lot going on behind the one knob, and it sounds incredible, but it has this feature. It has a recorder in it, which I don't understand why none of the other amp sims have this, but it has a metronome and a recorder. And so if you get an idea, you just hit the recorder and go, and it records
Oh,
it with the tone, not with your DI tone. It records the actual the sim tone.
okay.
So and in whatever quality level you want. So that is a very, very quick and efficient way to make riffs. I've
That's cool.
noticed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can imagine that.
And it sounds great. I think that's good if you're not using a DAW. Like if if
Definitely. Yeah,
yeah, just like if you're
makes
just
sense.
like practicing guitar
Yeah,
or whatever, don't want to open the DAW, but you get an idea, and by the time the DAW loads, it might
you
be
forget it.
gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what it's really good for, is because I don't like to practice with Pro Tools open. I don't know why. Uh, so anyhow, pro tip for anybody out there who doesn't use a DAW for writing, or who uses a DAW for writing but not for practicing, the amp knobs are fantastic. And no, they're not paying me to say this. The record function is
I have to
it's brilliant.
I have to Google this real quick. It's called Amp
Amp
Knob.
knob, yeah. I can hook you up with them. I'm sure they'll send them to you. They're awesome. They sound great. That's the thing too about them is, and I swear no one is telling me to say this shit, but I was shocked by how good they sound, because like I said, in the past, one knob plugins have been a joke, like fucking garbage. But these are
But
awesome.
how is it working with don't having a DAW open? How
Well,
does
you
that work?
can load it inside of a DAW as a plugin.
Oh, because you said like if you're practicing and your DAW isn't open, or did I
Yeah.
understand something wrong?
So say you're practicing, but you have your amp because you can load it in standalone mode.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So sometimes I like to practice with just the amp sim up in standalone mode. Because if I have the DAW open,
Yeah, yeah.
like it puts me in a different kind of headspace.
Yes, yes, I get that. It's
Yeah.
cool.
So you load it in standalone and then it has the recorder function.
That's cool. Rec, I see that. Yeah, I have it open right. It's from BogrenDigital.com.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
I have to check that out.
I'll put
That's
you in
cool.
touch with them. I'm sure they'll send you them. They're fucking awesome.
Very cool.
They, it's the thing about it that I think is great is how simple it is because Quad Cortex is amazing, but it's also you have to learn how to use it,
Definitely.
right? And I think that for a lot of people is not something they want to do. And I think with a lot of amp sims also, so many options that people don't know. Like there's just so many options. It's really cool to have something that you can just turn on and it sounds great and
Yeah.
you can just work.
Yes.
It's cheating almost. So it's almost cheating. So when you said that you guys don't overthink things, so once you decide that something's good, that's it. That's it. Like from that point on, you just record it for real, and that's it. Don't
I
question it
mean,
again.
I mean, there is some time in between of the writing session and the recording session. Of course, we listen to it a few times, but mostly in most of the cases we just leave it as it is, to be honest. There are like one or two songs which we we changed a little bit on the recording sessions because we tried out some new things and it just fitted better, but mostly the songs are staying the same as they got written in the writing sessions.
That makes sense. And I've I don't know about you, but I've noticed that a lot of the best songs happen pretty fast.
Oh yeah, I talk. I can tell you a story about this basically because like if you and are you familiar with our songs?
Yeah,
So
heavy as all fuck.
please end me got written in about 2 hours, and we didn't change anything like in the recording session. So and
Just like that.
it's our best song to be also so streaming wise it's our best song.
When you wrote it, did you know that did you have a good feeling about it?
Yeah, definitely. It was just heavy as shit, and we thought it will. We didn't thought it will blew up that much, but we knew the song would will be loved by our fans.
It's it's amazing when it happens that fast. 2 hours. That's
Yeah,
crazy. That is insanely fast. But I feel like sometimes people have this weird mental problem, and I have it too, where if something happens quickly, they automatically think it's not good,
yeah,
just because they think that quality is tied to time. Like I worked really hard on this, so it's better. Or as opposed to this came to me quickly, so it's
mhm,
worse, which is just not, it's not true. This doesn't have
definitely.
to be true.
No,
You could work on something forever and it can suck.
definitely.
Yeah. And none of your fans are listening to how long it took you to write it.
No, no, no.
They don't give a shit.
We always try to work with the slogan "less is more." You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So we try to keep it simple, but that's but the simpleness is is the way to go for us. You know what I mean?
Like one solid idea.
Yeah, kind of.
Honestly, in some ways, I think something good that's simple is harder to do than something complex, because when you have something
Yeah.
complex, you can wow people with how complex it is. Like, oh wow, that's so fast. Oh wow, that
Mhm.
pattern they're doing is so crazy. Oh, it's so crazy. But something simple doesn't have, like, you can't get tricked by how technical something is. Either it's
Mhm.
good or it's not good.
Mhm.
That's harder, I think.
Yeah, that's
It
right.
but did you ever have a point in time when you were younger where you maybe overcomplicated the writing? Like, is, I guess what I'm wondering is, like, is the simplicity something you had to discipline yourself into doing?
No, because I'm a lazy ass person, to be honest.
Perfect. You know, man, I forget who said this. There's this quote that I'm going to get wrong, but it was like, so one of these genius inventor guys, uh, like, not like Elon Musk or whatever, but like one of those dudes that
Okay.
has one of these genius types basically said, I don't remember the quote, so I'll just say the meaning of it, that the reason he's so good at inventing is because he's fucking lazy, and so he's constantly trying to make things that will make it easier for him to be lazy.
Yeah.
That's why his whatever he does is so efficient and works so well, is because he doesn't want to have to do more work. Doesn't want things to take
Yeah,
longer than they have to
that's how
take.
I write my songs because I'm too lazy to play like complex stuff live because I always try to when I write a riff, I always try to think that I have to play this live one day maybe, and then I with this mindset I just like try to write easy stuff which I'm actually can play live.
I mean, I'm just laughing. I'm laughing because I am thinking about the nightmare I'm going through right now, because I'm getting ready for a tour in March, and our shit is so difficult. And and I like, anytime I have to like get ready with it, I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? Why? Why?
Oh my God.
Just learn from the smart people and write something simple. Like it, yeah, it's like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? But the thing too about simple music is it's easier to make it sound good live.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you can actually perform
Yeah.
because the performance for myself is very important because I want to move, I want to headbang, I want to run, I want to whatever, and so I can like play easy stuff or stuff I can or stuff which is that hard I can play live. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I can do my performance
It's
or
very.
I can have so and I can have fun on stage. I don't want to stand there like just like focusing on my fretboard and you know what I mean? That's not how I want to play live music.
I mean, there's within mixing, like with reamping, there's something it was called like tone riffs. And so when reamping, when trying to find a good part to use for reamping, you're always looking for like
Hmm.
a part that's just like a very simple like chug, or
Hmm.
like some power chords that aren't very fast, because like that those are your tone riffs.
That's right.
and and that translates live too. Like tone riffs, there's a reason why people use those for reamping, and
Hmm.
that's why they use why sound people love it when your band only plays tone riffs, is because they can actually make you sound good. It's and it's like a, it's why Korn always sound amazing live. It's because they have nothing but tone riffs. But it's I mean, it is the smarter way to go, honestly, if you want to sound good live.
Yeah, I
The
can totally understand that.
Yeah, the more complicated, the worse it's going to sound. But
Yeah.
but anyways, we're basically out of time. So I want to thank you very much for taking the time to hang out, and for your patience. And I wish you really good luck with the release,
you.
man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks. That's
Of
actually
course.
the first. That's actually the first podcast who requested just me as a guitarist. So I'm very happy and I'm very thankful for your request and for the chance you giving me. So thank you.
So we're here for it, man. My pleasure. It was
Very nice.
it was great to talk to you, and
Thank you, man.
have a great evening.
Yeah, you too, man. Thanks.
All right. See you later.
See you.